This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Live from Peach Time Out in the heart of Times Square. You're listening to Beach Talk Radio with Kim and Ed Ryan.
And hello, everybody, and welcome to Beach Talk Radio. This is episode number 153, coming to you live from Peach Time Out on Fort Myers Beach. Please share this show if you can and subscribe to our YouTube page. We're on Twitter and we're on Instagram, and our news website is beachtalkradionews.com, where you can sign up for our free twice-a-week newsletter. Always, I forget to let everyone know that we have a news app where you can receive breaking news about Fort Myers Beach and Sanibel, and they come to you as notifications. So if you download the app, which is available for iPhone and Android, you'll be able to get breaking news. It doesn't come with that breaking news sounder, but you get that beep that comes on your phone whenever there's breaking news. All right, it was a huge week for us last week. Our newsletter signups were massive on Friday and on Thursday. We appreciate you guys for doing that. And we appreciate all of our sponsors that take care of us, and that includes Island Oils, Fort Myers Tiki Tours, Nervous Nellies, Mangaritas, Wave of Vitality, State Insurance USA, Sun Palace Vacations, La Ola Restaurant, Tuckaway Cafe, Blue Ribbon Events, Sanibel Carts, and Beach Pottery, and of course, Peach Time Out, which is our home base here. And welcome to the show to my trusty sidekick, Kimberly Rose Ryan. And it's so nice to have you back after a week off.
A week off?
Oh, you didn't take the week off?
No.
It just feels like it's been so long since you were on. And we're so excited to have our first guest. Jackie is with us, and Jackie is a podcaster herself, everybody. A podcaster interviewing a podcaster. Isn't that super cool?
Thanks for do that a lot.
Thanks for coming on, Jackie.
Thanks for having me, Ed. I'm really happy to be here down in Fort Myers Beach. It's a beautiful day today.
So first off, tell us what your I shouldn't say it like this. I shouldn't assume that your podcasting job isn't your full-time job, but what is your full-time job?
It's not. I'm kind of like, like the trainees. I'm kind of like a paper hat, with the podcaster. I'm just like learning as I go, and get a lot of help from my colleague Ray Saraceno on the audio and everything. But no, I'm one of the communications managers at the Lee County Visitor and Convention Bureau, and we're part of Lee County government, and we promote tourism, throughout the world. And throughout the world, we're known as the beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel. So we kind of have, two identities, for our marketing efforts and things like that. And a couple of years ago, I was talking with my boss, Francesca Donlin.
Mm-hmm.
We have a mutual, know each other.
I don't mean to interrupt, but Ray Saraceno, we go back a long way too. He used to be a member of our gym when we first opened that 100 years ago.
Yeah, sounded familiar.
Yeah. Ray's
Jackie,
awesome.
So
yeah,
didn't mean to interrupt, but yeah.
No.
Francesca.
And so we've got all these people in common, and we talked about, hey, maybe we should do a podcast, and we. Time went on, and we do a lot with journalists. We bring journalists down to the area, and they write stories to promote tourism.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, with the traffic and everything. Okay, that's blame us, because we're helping promoting tourism and everything.
Right.
And we during the pandemic, we decided maybe this is a good time to do it, to get it out there.
And for anybody that doesn't know, the name of the podcast is Shellcast, and you can get it wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Download it from Apple, or it's on iHeartRadio. It's on anywhere you listen. And it's how many? You've finished the first season, or how many?
I was going to ask.
How
many episodes?
Did you want to be part of the show today?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Really?
We have 8 episodes. We're going to have another one drop later this week. And we've got a few bonus episodes. So we've got about a dozen.
When did you start doing it though? When did you start recording for it?
We started let's see. Oh my gosh. Okay. In 2019, the fall of 2019, we started it. And then we went out with Captain Brian Holloway and went out on Pine Island Sound, because the thing about this podcast is, it is not clean and in the studio and, with a lot of, background stuff. It's gritty. It's, you hear people walking on the shell pathways and things like that. You hear the beach and, when you're out on the water with, in a boat, you hear everything.
But you want that in there. I mean, that's some
that.
of the allure of listening for folks that are, snowbound.
Exactly. And it's, it's one more way for people to plan their vacation and say they've never been here. They can listen to a couple of different podcasts and get a feel of, oh yeah, I want to go to Sanibel, or I want to go down to Fort Myers Beach, or I want to learn about Edison Ford Winter Estates, that kind of thing. So
yeah, because it's one thing to read about it in a list of things to do, but it's a whole nother ball game to hear it, to see it in action. So
yeah, definitely. And so and that's what makes it a lot of fun.
So maybe other folks aren't as interested in this side of it as I am, but do you go out with your phone, or are you going out with a special recorder, or what are you going out with? And then you're gathering up this audio, and then you get back to you get back to wherever you do it. It could be your house, and you got all these different, because I know
we were just talking about the
all
editing.
these pieces of audio, and you got to be like, how do I make 30 minutes of this?
Exactly. Yeah, it is. It is. I'm more, with the mic and talking to people, and Ray has been, the audio guy, and he's been doing the editing, and it's we use one of the Adobe programs. Sure.
High end stuff. Yeah, of course. Lee County.
And it's just a real it just takes a little while. It's not just, we go do it, tape it, and then it's out to the world.
Right.
It takes a lot of editing, and Kim and I were talking about, you can go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
With the editing.
Yeah, because you think everybody, when you have it up on the board, you think everybody doesn't want to hear every single time, and it's really not that big a deal.
It's really not, and I think we've learned that as we've gone along. It's like, okay, we don't have to take out every breath. That's
because that's the way people talk.
Yeah,
I mean, if it's egregious, then you want to take it out. But that is the normal prosody of the way.
You think you know the whole podcasting thing now.
I remember that. I remember that was just, it would take forever.
Well, we had like a little therapy. She was like, she understands.
Yeah.
She knows what we're talking about. But with this last, this most recent episode that it hasn't gone out yet, I went out to Manatee Park on my own, and I used a mic on my own. I got this new mic that actually kind of levels everything out, and you just pop it into the editing program, and I've been editing that. So, and it's a little more streamlined, and I can talk tech about it with you later.
What kind of microphone is it, and how much did it cost? Okay.
You can talk off camera about that.
It's a Lee County microphone then.
Well, it was. I got it myself just to see if it was going to work,
okay,
and to see if this was something that I wanted to pursue, because just the back end of it, all this board and everything that you've got here. Oh my gosh, that's just too much. It's just It is too much, and and we do use Rode. I see Rode up there.
Yeah, they're big in the podcast. Yeah, the microphones, everything.
The mics with Rode. And, we'll walk around. I'll have a mic, and the subject will have a mic, and then Ray will be following along.
Oh, so Ray goes with you. He's kind of like your producer.
Yeah, he goes
and
along.
When I was listening to the one about the Wonder Gardens, there was another female voice, I think, that you were sending it back to the studio, or no?
I'm not sure.
It sounded like somebody was interviewing you, or you were interviewing them. I think it was that one.
It might have been somebody in the gift shop, or someone who works at the Wonder Gardens.
So is Ray on the show too? Does he get credits and he gets paid for it, the whole thing?
Ray gets credit for being the sound guy. Ray gets credit. And he knows how to do that. He's much more on the tech end. So.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and how you got started and ended up here? Because you're originally from Kentucky.
Yes, I am. Paducah, Kentucky.
Paducah,
Kentucky. Shout out to Paducah. And my family is still in Paducah, and then my family's also in Southern Illinois. And I came here because of the weather. We've been here since 2017. I was travel editor at the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Wow. So I was a journalism background and kind of worked in newspapers up and down the East Coast.
I got to say, I love what I do, but I Oh boy, I would love to do that. I would love to do. You've got a fun job, but go ahead.
It was a lot of fun, and lived in Poughkeepsie. We were talking about
Yes,
New York.
she's from Poughkeepsie. Well, you worked in Poughkeepsie.
Worked there for a couple of years at the Poughkeepsie Journal, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun in the late '80s and the '90s to move around everywhere. But was in St. Louis for 20 years. That's where I met my husband, and
who's with us today off camera
out here, and he was also a former journalist, front page editor at the Post-Dispatch, and we, like a lot of journalists, I got laid off, and we found other careers and worked in nonprofits for a little while, and this job presented itself, and we had to do it, and it was great. Everything worked out. It's a wonderful job. We're selling sunshine.
Yeah.
Right. So I have to ask a question. What do you think? I'm sure you and your husband have conversations about the newspaper business. At one time was king of the road, and things changed so fast, and the newspaper industry didn't adapt, and now everything's digital and instant and things like that. So, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch is still going, but is it now a weekly, or is it still a daily? And how are they able to get the news out the way they used to with fewer reporters?
You described it in a nutshell. That's what's happened. The Post-Dispatch has moved from its location to a smaller office, a much smaller staff. There's still the print issue, but it's also online. And it was the business model, and this was true of newspapers across the country. That I think if there had been a better business model early on, things might have been different. But yeah, it happened quick, and it happened everywhere.
Yeah, I think the newspaper reporters are some of the most trustworthy reporters that you have out there. They're going to do the digging, they're going to do the work, but the money is just as. And once the classifieds went away in the newspapers, the money went away, because that was a huge money maker for the news. At least it was,
back in the
when
day.
I remember, it was just impossible for us radio people to beat the newspaper, because even a car dealer, you got to see the pictures. And then all of a sudden pictures were everywhere online. And that was another thing, just chewing away at them. And the print cost, even down here, the sandpaper, who everybody loves down here, it's just, you can't keep up with. You're coming out once a week, but everybody wants to see something once an hour. And it's so hard to compete with that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, you're exactly right. Just instant. I can remember the Sunday paper being so
huge,
so thick, and and classified. And I can remember the office at the Post-Dispatch, the classified, the floor. I mean, it was they had as many people almost as we did in the newsroom.
When I was growing up on Long Island, we used to deliver Newsday, which at the time was 7 days a week. And part of the job was that you had to put the inserts in the Sunday paper before you put the rubber band around it. And it was like, 18 inserts that you had to put in before you actually made it into a newspaper. It was crazy. But we digress. So you're now a podcaster, which, everybody's a podcaster these days, it seems, right?
What other places do you have planned to visit? Are there what's in the works coming down the pipeline for the podcast?
Everywhere. There's the new Welcome Center down at Lover's Key.
Yep.
And I was there on Monday just to take a tour, but I want to go back when it opens, because I think that would be a really good one. And let's see, Mound House down here,
of course,
Beach is a good one. Allison Geeson and the staff over there, they're fantastic. The fish houses out in Pine Island Sound. It's a beautiful. I don't know if you've been out there, but
I've been out to Matt Lachey. I don't
get out a lot.
No, he doesn't get out.
Okay, all right. But out in Pine Island Sound, there are these fish houses, and I wanted to get out there with someone who knows what they're talking about and experience that.
Now, have you heard from Councilman Jim Adderholt yet?
No,
okay, see, you didn't follow up. I said you got this killer podcast, and he's working on some water stuff that I thought would be great for clean water. Who's not for clean water?
Yeah.
So anyway, you might hear from him. He's going to be on our show next week. He's probably watching, because I told him you were going to be on the show this week.
All right.
The podcast is geared for typically for visitors, so really outside area folks to kind of get aware, or inside area folks to because now with all the travel stuff, and they're encouraging you to vacation closer to home. So it is important to know what's around you to go and see and do, because you could live here and miss a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
It's true. And we designed it. We wanted to do it to give people from out of the area one more thing in their toolbox to help plan a vacation and to learn about the area and to do it, for the time being, to do it safely. So they can, figure out what they want to do when they want to come down here.
And for those of you that are just tuning in, the name of the podcast is Shellcast. So what you're going to do is you're going to go on Apple right now and you're going to download it and subscribe. That's how they know how many people are listening to the podcast. You have to subscribe to it on Apple, or you can listen on iHeart, or you can listen on any of your favorite podcast apps. There are so freaking many of them now.
Yeah.
Podcatcher or whatever you're listening to. Listening to podcasts on there everywhere.
So I don't know if you have this situation, but the Shellcast will show up on platforms I've never even heard of.
Yeah, it goes
Once your
everywhere.
RSS feed is up, everybody snatches onto it, and it's everywhere.
Amazing.
You know what it is? The minute it's uploaded to Apple, Apple's the king of the road right there.
Yeah,
And so as soon as Apple has it, everybody else gets it. And so how are the downloads?
They're good.
Yeah.
They're really good. Our strongest is actually in the Fort Myers, Naples area.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But we've got downloads in Germany and Canada and the UK and Scandinavia and Minnesota. That's a which is our audience.
Yeah.
Minnesota,
Right.
the Midwest,
Ohio's got to be.
Ohio,
Yeah.
Columbus is in our top 5. And
Nice.
and I love going into we use Libsyn.
Of
And
course.
I love going in
They're
there
the
and
best.
looking and
Yeah.
seeing.
Very user friendly. If you're thinking about doing a podcast, Libsyn's the best. Now we use Spreaker, but I
Okay.
wish I could get it over to Libsyn if I had the time, because they are the best. Now the
They do not sponsor the show, though.
I
just
know.
so we
I know.
know.
I'm giving them free love.
neither one of them does.
just so everybody knows.
No,
that-
now you made me forget
not a
my
paid-
question. Dang it, you
Oh,
do that all
that's-
the time now.
So is it on a scheduled release, or is it? Yeah,
No.
yeah.
It's not
It doesn't really matter though.
much to actually everybody's been really cool about it, because it's kind of something extra that I'm
Right.
working on, in addition to I do the monthly newsletter. I work with visiting journalists. There's anytime your email pops up, it's like, what is
Right.
this? What else do I need to work on? But this is kind of our labor of love. It really is.
Yeah.
And it's really fun, and everyone's been very very supportive of it. Yeah.
Now because I hang out with the podcasting crowd,
Oh, here we go.
I know what irks them or drives them crazy. Do you watch the downloads to see how they're doing? Because that is something podcasters just can't get away from.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I'm obsessed, and I
Yeah.
like to look and see, okay, well, did this, if I do this, do we get a bump? Or if I talk about this, do we get a bump? Or we also have an Instagram page too, and it doesn't have audio, but people can follow along there. Shellcast the podcast at Instagram, and to do things there, just to let people know, hey, we're about to download, or about to drop.
Yeah,
a
she knows
podcast.
the lingo. I
Yeah.
caught that before. She's got the podcast lingo. You want to know how to jack up the downloads? I give you 2 free pieces of advice.
Oh, great.
Get on Joe Rogan. That'll
Okay.
be the first
oh,
way.
Yeah, no kidding.
And
Number one.
if there's some way to get on new and noteworthy on Apple when that scrolls across the
Oh,
top,
yeah.
those are the
I
ones
know.
that really seem to go through the roof. Because when people see those things,
Well, that's
coming,
like getting.
I know
like
it's got getting
on
an Academy
Oprah's,
Award.
Oprah's Christmas show where she's giving stuff away. Like
Yeah,
you get on,
it's
you
crazy.
get that, you're going through the roof. Or Shark Tank.
Yeah.
The Lee County PIO office and had that whole setup there. They're the most efficient and easy to work with and friendly, and everybody is so helpful. And it just seems like it's a well-oiled machine over there in getting. I mean, I've been to a few TDC meetings where everybody's rowing the same way to get the word out. It's so extensive how they're trying to get people from the different states and the advertising and some of the things that they advertise in I've never even heard of. It's and adding a podcast to it just seemed like a natural thing because that's the way things are going.
Thank you, Ed. They will be very happy to hear that
Yeah,
positive
Betsy
feedback.
and those guys, they've always been very helpful, always get back with the information, and They just put a new water site out, a website about clean water or something.
Right. They sure did. Yeah.
The other day.
It's really something. I only looked at the beginning of it, but there's just a lot of information on that. So Ray is over in PIO now.
Yeah.
He was with tourism, but he's over with Betsy and her team.
And Francesca used to work for the news press.
She sure did.
Right.
She sure did. Yeah.
So I know that the Shellcast, the podcast, is a smaller labor of love. Are there other things you do at the Visitors Bureau at the beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel that you want to talk about? Other things where people can get information and
I want to talk about the Sunsaver Pass.
Okay.
So there is, and this is something that everybody can use, whether you're a visitor or you're a local. You can go to our website, fortmyers-sanibel.com, and it comes up, the Sunsaver Pass, and you put in your email and you click on a couple of things, and it isn't an app per se. You don't go to an app store. You do it through our website, and it shows up on your smartphone. And you can scroll through, and you can get discounts all over the area. And it's you find it. It's a BOGO, a buy one get one, or a free whatever, a free glass or whatever. And it will, you show it to the vendor, and they scan it, and off you go.
So it's targeted for the area.
It is, and
sort of like a Groupon deal, but just for this area.
Right.
Okay.
Just for Lee County, and it's a way to help our partners, to help industry partners in the area. But it's the Sunsaver Pass.
If somebody wanted to, if they thought they had something that would cut the mustard on your show to promote.
Yeah.
How would they get in touch with you to pitch you an idea?
We've got a Gmail. It's called shellcastthepodcast@gmail.com, and they can send it there. Happy
Awesome.
to, and we get emails all the time on, hey, have you thought about doing this? Have you thought about doing that? And we take all comers. So yeah.
Do you guys sit around in like a boardroom with 8 or 9 people and say, I've got this pitch from, this guy who's, got,
not really.
Okay. No, just a little bit less intense than that.
Not really. It's kind of, I come up with a list, and it's like, hey, I think I'm going to do this one. Are they available? And it's sort of a 1-2 man band right now.
From the minute you go out and start recording the first piece of audio for the next release. How long does it take you before you listen to a final product? And do you ever sit down and think, oh my gosh, that sounds like we got to do it again?
We haven't had to go back and do it again, but there's been a couple of times when it's like, oh gosh, and Ray has been able to take out whatever, or we just edited it out.
If I sent him our audio, you think he could edit her out?
No, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Now, what are your 3 favorite podcasts that you listen to?
Let's see. I listen to The Daily, the New York Times, The Daily.
Me too. That's in mine.
It's a good one. Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend.
Oh, I can't believe you listened to that one, but okay.
No.
Hey, it's a personal preference.
And let's see. And I listened to Malcolm Gladwell's got one.
All right.
I listened to that one.
Armchair something or other?
Not
that one?
What is it
Does
called?
he have another one? Somebody will post it in the chat room there.
Revisionist History.
Oh, okay.
Revisionist History.
Yeah. That's not the 3-hour one, is it? No, that's a different one. I forget who hosts
that is
one.
a different one.
Yeah. She listens to like the Dateline podcast day
I
and
like
night.
Dateline.
Like they're never ending with that annoying voice. Who's that annoying voice that can't
Oh,
stand?
yeah, the guy.
Good God, he's awful.
Yeah, that one. But I did just start listening to The Daily, NPR, and The Minimalist.
I
like
can't listen
those
to
guys.
The Daily or any daily news podcast because I think by the time I listen to it, it's really too old.
No, it comes right there in the morning.
Oh, do you get it in the morning?
Yes.
About the morning news though, or the night before?
Because on the weekend they do different stuff too.
Right.
What are the top 3 radio stations that you listen to?
Oh,
I'm bowing out of that one. I don't listen.
I got Sirius.
Yes, that's a problem for me, for my industry.
Yeah, I got Sirius.
So
and I've got but I mean I have AM and FM on my phone or on my my car. But yeah. It's I'm just
I don't know. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Okay, all right.
I know.
So, do you enjoy? Would you ever consider doing a different type of podcast? I mean, do you or you think sometimes it's because it can be a lot of work. The editing part of it can really be a lot of work.
It's so much work.
That's why live is better.
Yeah.
That's what we were. Yeah.
Yeah. The one that I did out at Manatee Park, just like on my own, I just left it on, and it's very streamlined. What I took out, I was able to take things out pretty simply, and I'm going to go back and do a couple of bumps with, some music and then call it a day.
I mean, it's even like when I do, if I was out in Sanibel on the weekend after the show, and I'll go walk someplace new, or I'll find something new to do. And I do a really quick Facebook Live thing just to show people, hey, come on out. This place is great.
Yes.
The trails are great, whatever. But literally, I have to do it 5 or 6 times before I feel like I don't stumble. So I can't, the editing and the getting that right is tough.
It is.
It's not a one take deal.
I know. And sometimes when you get that one take, it's like, oh, wow.
Yeah, let it go. Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Walk away
Don't-
right then and be
Don't even
grateful.
question it
The
at
name
all.
the name of the podcast is Shellcast, and you can download it anywhere. And remember, if you go on Apple and you download it, you need to subscribe to it, because that's really the only way you're going to know when the next one comes out.
That's true.
If you're just wondering and wandering, well, if you do what I do, is I just refresh my phone every day to see which ones are coming up. I like to listen to the No Agenda podcast, and Megyn Kelly's podcast has been pretty good. I was surprised that she's had some pretty good guests on. So,
She's a good
but
interviewer.
anyway, yeah. So anything else you want people to know about your podcast? And we appreciate you coming all the way down
Or
here.
the visitors.
Or the Visitors Bureau, or anything that we might have missed.
No, I think that's it. The Sunsaver Pass, and listen to podcast, Shellcast, and we appreciate it, and we appreciate you having me here. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for coming
Cool.
down.
Very cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming down, and good luck with the
and the crowd
podcast.
goes
And
wild.
hopefully you'll get a little bump in the downloads after today. And again, everybody, thank you very much for coming down, and download Shellcast from Apple, or listen to it on iTunes, or wherever you get your favorite podcast, whatever it is, you want to download it, give it a listen. The last one they did was at the Wonder Gardens, which was pretty cool, because we've had those guys on, and check out the show. It's really cool. And thanks to Jackie for coming down, and on episode 153. Right now, I want to tell you about one of our sponsors. Yeah. Beach Pottery, of course, one of our newest sponsors, Beach Pottery. And the reason I'm kind of hesitating is because I got to show you pictures when we do the Beach Pottery. They got like thousands and thousands of, I can't get it up there. Darn it. Let's see, try that one more time. Thousands and thousands of pots. And they're located on San Carlos Boulevard, 17980 San Carlos Boulevard. Pots, planters of every size, from $5 to $500. They have indoors and outdoors, and the imported pots are from Vietnam, which is really cool. Who doesn't want a pot from Vietnam? Of course you want a pot from Vietnam. Alana purchased them directly from manufacturers, so have the best pricing in town, as well as the best selection. Over an acre of pots, furniture, and artwork. Lots more out in the back. They have it in the front, they have it in the back, they have it on the inside. Each pot is hand-painted. It's true works of art. Over an acre. 8,000 pots imported from Vietnam and Mexico. Beach Pottery.
Why are you screaming?
I don't know. When you do an ad like that, you feel like you have to get into it, dear. So,
Good God.
all right, everybody. Our next
guest brought some earbuds for himself.
Mike
Come on over, have a
Giannopoulos,
seat.
ladies and gentlemen. You've probably heard his voice on other radio stations. I'm claiming that we're a radio station, but he got to help him out there.
I gotta get the
Mike, we're going to be here.
we're gonna be on camera here. I gotta get the expensive furniture all straightened out. I'm gonna be kind of close to your wife, Ed.
Mike, it's a podcast. It's not an
There we
expensive radio
you're
station
fine.
like you're used to hanging out at. So, how are you doing today, Mike?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me here, guys.
No, we're
There you
glad to
go.
have you
All right.
down.
So, Mike, first, before we talk about the radio gigs
Here we
that you
go.
do, give everybody kind of like a rundown of your background on how you became an attorney and how you came to Fort Myers.
Well, it's an interesting story, Ed. Thanks for asking.
Thank you.
Oh,
I quit high school,
Okay.
went in the Army. I still don't have a high school education, but I did go to law school. The Army helped me with that. I spent 10 years on active duty, 17 in the reserves. I went to all 3 wars: Afghanistan, first Iraq, second Iraq. So I've had a great life. I went to law school because I wanted to get out of the Army. I stayed in the reserves, and unfortunately, when bin Laden blew up the world, I had to go back.
Okay.
But then when I came home from Iraq, I got to be a judge in my home state of Oklahoma. So I came back and I was appointed as a judge, and I did that. And then I left and came to Fort Myers. My dad was ill and mom gone, and so I came down to take care of dad. I've been here about 13 years. I have a place called Absolute Law.
Yep.
That I'm proud of. I built it from nothing during the recession. More blessed than I deserve to be, quite frankly. So I'm having a good time here in Fort Myers, and I love it.
What was it like to be in Iraq and Afghanistan?
Challenging.
Is it better off now than it was when we first went there? And do you feel like it was worth it?
I don't think it's better off. The plan was, when we went in both the first and the second time, the plan was, the second time we knew Saddam was going to set the oil wells on fire. He'd done that the first time. So Vice President Cheney had his boys from Halliburton in my home state of Oklahoma, and they came over and did fractures and blew out the wells. So our plan, or the plan was, the big plan, blow out the oil wells, cool them off, get that oil pumped out, sell it to places like Japan that doesn't have a lot of natural resources, turn that oil into money, and use the money only to build the new Iraq, to build housing, school, provide water, clean food, medical services. And unfortunately, we fumbled the ball. So it didn't happen that way. And that's where the insurgents came from, right? If people are fed, they have good medicine, they have the ability to educate their children, then they have hope. They keep going. When you take those things away or don't provide them, well, then you have an insurgency.
Wow. So
tell us about your law practice, what law you practice.
Well, I've been so fortunate. I cut my teeth doing insurance defense, so I did a lot of litigation actually in the courtroom, trying cases in front of juries, which is probably more fun than you'll ever have with your clothes on. That and kicking indoors.
I'm not sure a lot of people would say that's a lot of fun.
That and kicking indoors and throwing hand grenades. Those are the two things that you can't beat.
So like car insurance stuff?
I did. That's how I cut my teeth doing insurance defense. In other words, somebody gets in a car accident, one of the big firms sue the driver. I would represent the driver through their insurance company. Then I did a lot. I was general counsel of a public company. So I was the youngest general counsel on NASDAQ at 33. I did that for 5 years. Would have kept going with that, but bin Laden blew up the world.
Right.
So when I came back, I was a judge, and then I moved here.
Why did you stop being a judge?
Well, do you want the truth or do you want the politically correct answer?
Whatever you.
Let's go with go with the truth. Go with the truth.
I went through a divorce, and I was a judge, and she was a lawyer, and it was not pretty.
Oof.
And I just said, you know what? Here's the money. Go. It's only money. And I decided to leave because I was allergic to federal prison. Anytime they start talking about locking me up, like my heart races and I shake, it's like I have an allergy to prison. Yeah. And I was going to kill both of them, put their bodies in a wood chipper. So,
I see both of them. I get you. Got you.
I decided that I should come to Fort Myers, and it would be a whole lot more fun than federal prison.
Yeah.
Good choice.
So 13 years now, and we hear you on the radio. What got you hooked up with K-Rock? It was K-Rock first, right? With Stan and Haney?
And it was so phenomenal. I met Stan playing golf. And, there might have been a couple of adult beverages.
Yeah.
But he said, hey, you're a really funny guy. Why don't you come on the show? And I did. And there was just great chemistry with the three of us. And so they asked me to stay. And I've been doing it 10 years. It's a lot of fun.
Wow. So that was after Joe was there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Joe had already passed.
Yeah.
So what kinds of things? I'm sure it runs the gamut of issues that come up on there. But what are some of the most ridiculous or
because what you do is you just
ones?
take questions from the callers.
Right,
I do. And you know what's funny
and
is
you can't really dispense advice like that, but you try to give them a little bit. Yeah.
And get them in the right direction. Right. And what's so funny about that is, guys, I don't see those questions, especially now that I'm remote with COVID. I hear them the first time the audience hears them. And that's what makes it so fun. And that's why those guys think I'm talented. I'm really not. I'm just full of crap.
Well, you're able to roll with it.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's, when is that?
Okay. So that's every Tuesday on 96.1 from 3:35 to 4 o'clock. And then I do something called the Man Panel. which is on
hold on.
B1039.
Before you get to that, so the 3:30 to 4 o'clock on K Rock, just so people know, that's a paid spot. You have to pay for that.
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't?
No, I don't.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
That is not advertising. I don't pay anything for that. They came and asked me to be on the show after my initial thing.
Oh.
And they said, we really like you. We want you to be part of our show. We want you to do a segment. Well, then, of course, the salespeople did call me and want me to pay for it. And I said, I was just starting my business and I had nothing. And I said, I can't do it.
Right.
I'm out. I'm not going to do the show. Well, Stan and Haney came and said, we have creative control of the show. And they went to the leadership and said, we want them. And so that's it.
Which the Beasley family, by the way, everybody knows the Beasley family down here.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a public service. You're giving the
Right.
community service free advice.
Is it mostly like petty kind of things and divorce things, or I mean, no one's calling up and like, I just put somebody in the wood chipper. What should I do?
I know they call the private line for that.
The cell phone.
So, yeah, if you put somebody in a wood chipper, 239 Ask Mike, press 6, it'll come to my cell phone, complete privacy. No, believe it or not, a lot of people have questions about concealed carry. That comes up a lot. And, does the medical marijuana card preclude you from getting or maintaining a personal carry license for your weapon? That's a lot of the questions that come up. A lot of them are divorce questions. A lot of them are questions that end up being kind of small claim stuff that if you had to pay a lawyer to ask, it wouldn't be worth it.
Gotcha. So with COVID, have you seen a certain type of question come up more than others?
Divorce.
Well, not so much on the radio show, but just in my practice, domestic violence is skyrocketing.
No kidding.
I mean, come on, you lock people in 4 walls and alcohol sales have gone up 50% in Lee County. And then you lock 4 people in 4 walls with a bunch of alcohol and you think you're not going to have any violence. I mean, people find out. I really do love my wife. Glad to be quarantined with her. Or, oh my God, I hate this person. I can't wait to get out of here. I'm going to kill him or her.
And we're in an open state.
We are. Imagine if we were, in Europe. They're locked down. They have a curfew in Norway and Sweden. You can't be out of your house after 8 o'clock at night.
Wow. So you were mentioning B103, which is also a Beasley station, and we had Big Mama on the show once to talk about his. He was doing something with veterans at the time, and he's
Big Mama's a veteran.
Yeah. So what do you do with those guys?
B1039 Thursday mornings from 8 to 9 is the man panel.
Okay.
And so women call in and ask us relationship questions.
Oh boy.
So we have a urologist who's on with us, and we have a professional baseball player who's retired, and me, and a coach, and we give relationship advice. It's a wonderful segment. Do these jeans make my ass look fat?
All right.
Okay. You really get those kinds of questions.
Oh, you wouldn't believe it.
Now they also have female I shouldn't say sidekicks or co-hosts.
Yeah,
they used to call them
Brownie.
sidekicks, dear. Now they call them co-hosts.
Yeah, a little bit more respect. Little Brownie. So the show is made up of Jason, who's Big Mama,
Yeah.
Budman, and Little Brownie. And they really got some good chemistry. It's a lot of fun, and she adds a lot to the mix. And when I say Little Brownie, she is little.
Yeah.
She's like under 5 feet tall, maybe.
Yeah.
And just cute as a button. Beautiful girl.
That radio station has been great for many, many years, and that's a great company and such a nice family. And it's nice that you got hooked up with them because it really is local. That's local radio right there.
Well, let me tell you how that kind of happened with Beasley. I went to Brad after I was on the show the first time, and I realized the power of radio. And I just said, can I see Brad Beasley? And they were like, who are you? So I did get to see him. They walked me in, and I told Brad, I said, listen, I'm new. I'm devastated after a divorce. I don't have 2 nickels to rub together, and I can't afford to advertise. But I'll make you a deal. There's no loyalty in your business. So I'm going to go across the street for 2 cents of a cheaper ad.
Right.
If you help me, I'll be loyal to you and keep my business with you, and I'll grow my business, and that'll help you grow yours. And Brad said, I'm going to take a chance on you. And he gave me about $12,000 worth of advertising and said, I'll give you 180-day terms on it. You get there running your business, no interest, 180-day terms. And that's what kicked off my business. And so I really, truly owe a lot of my success to 2 people. One, Brad Beasley, who was an amazing guy who helped me, believed in me when I had nothing. And the other is my office manager, Lindsay, who she's been with me pretty much from day one.
Wow.
And at times it was just me and her, and she's cleaned toilets and, vacuumed rugs and been the paralegal and been the receptionist and been the secretary and, She's amazing, and without her, this business wouldn't be what it is.
It's amazing that this radio story that you told, my boss is going to want to hear it because of my day job is in the radio industry,
Right.
on a different area. But anyway, so the frequency is so important. Your voice, people know your voice. People know Absolute Law
Right.
because of the frequency and the fact that you know how to use it. If you don't use it like that,
Right.
but when people used to say to us, let me give it a try and see if it works, you need to walk out the door. It just doesn't work that way.
That's correct.
That's
You have
why.
to commit to the frequency to saturate the market.
Right.
And I think we've done that. I've been doing this 10 years, and I believe that I've completely saturated the market. And so then your advertising gets to back off a little bit.
Right.
I really hate lawyer advertising. I think it shouldn't be allowed. And there was a time when it wasn't.
Right.
And I think we should go back to that. It preserves the integrity of the profession. As you've seen, the integrity of my profession in the last 30 years since I've been in it has gone from exceptionally high integrity to being flushed down the toilet. I mean, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the local stuff. The first question I wanted to talk about, get your opinion on, is the mask mandate. Florida, the governor's been great. He's been there's been no mask mandate in Florida. Lee County doesn't have a mask mandate. The numbers are going down. I'm not saying don't wear a mask. Here on Fort Myers Beach, there's a mask mandate where a business like this could get fined $500. Yet the governor says, or he said, that he's not everything that was already fined for somebody he's going to drop. What is your opinion on, can you enforce a mask mandate in the state of Florida?
I think it becomes a constitutional question. Okay. And one of my biggest concerns when COVID started, and I still maintain this concern, is that the chief judge of the Florida Supreme Court, did I say Florida Supreme Court, meaning he is a state officer, came out and suspended speedy trial clock, which means when you're arrested and charged with a crime, they only have a certain amount of time to try you. Otherwise, it's, you're being held unconstitutionally. He suspended that, and he suspended jury trials. So we've taken away liberty. But here's the thing. How, as a state court judge, can he suspend my rights under the federal Constitution? Okay. So we got serious problems legally in this thing. As far as the mask mandate, I think you probably could do it nationally. I think that starts to intrude on states' business. I mean, the Constitution doesn't work the way it's supposed to. Remember, we have the 11th Amendment, right? All powers not specifically granted to the federal government are reserved to the states and their people. So it is kind of a state's issue. Now, could we enforce a national travel ban and mask policy? Given the fact that it's a pandemic, I think so.
Right. That's what they'll say. It's a national emergency, right. Safety. Okay.
Correct. And I think Fort Myers Beach, I think they're trying to protect. Look, the only thing we have here in Fort Myers is the beach. We don't have a big industry. We don't have a manufacturing plant. We don't have, right? So this is our industry,
economy.
And it's
This is
all
the
we
economy.
have.
Mm-hmm.
It's what our community survives on, and we have to preserve it. And I think the town council is trying to do that. We have an at-risk population here more than other places because we have more elderly people. We have more people with compromised physical conditions. I mean, COVID, look at you. You're a big, strong, healthy man. Okay. COVID's not going to get you. If you get it, it's not going to kill you. Right. The same for me. My dad, who is 87 and is a diabetic and, et cetera, he gets it. It's going to kill him. Mm-hmm. So I think they are trying to protect the population.
I don't disagree with that. I guess I'm trying to figure out if somebody gets written a ticket, are they really going to have to pay it?
Enforcement becomes a separate issue from the ban, right? I mean, you have, say, the legal authority to create the ban. Oh, now how do you enforce it?
Right.
I mean, do you have jackbooted thugs coming into businesses like this and saying, put your mask on or I'm going to haul you out? Or I'm going to fine you $500. I'm going to fine the business $10,000 for each person here without a mask. I mean, I think we could quickly destroy ourselves if we get there.
Okay, so even more locally, Terry Prasad owns the Sunset Grill here down in Times Square, and you've been representing him. Why is the town of Fort Myers Beach targeting him?
Well, that depends on who you ask. The beach would tell you we're not targeting him. We're effectively managing businesses on the beach to preserve our town. I think there is some of that, but I think there's some other stuff going on too. I think with this new what are we getting in here? The new resort.
Yeah.
Margaritaville. Yep.
I think that everybody's kind of trying to beat that thing to the punch. And I think the town council has an interest in taking away things from our business owners, like beach chair rental, selling alcohol on the beach. You know, many of these people are grandfathered in because they were there before the economic critical zone, right? And that was one of the issues with Terry. So Terry buys Sunset Grill, and it's been damaged from Irma and some other things. Terry invested several $1 million in buying that property, tearing it down, and rebuilding it. That's a benefit to the beach. That's a benefit to our citizens. That's a huge investment with his personal money into our economy. And then the town council said, well, it took you too long to renovate, so you've abandoned your license to sell liquor on the beach. It no longer exists. I think a lot of that is going on because they need to reserve that for this new resort. That's what's going to make them money.
Never heard that angle before. I'm not so
That's
sure.
my thought.
Yeah. So to back up a little bit, what you're talking about is Terry was doing renovations, and for some reason, before that, he was allowed to sell alcohol on the beach, and then the town said, well, being that you abandoned that spot, you can't have your liquor license anymore, so they took it away from him. Now, that went through the courts, and the court decided most recently, maybe even last week, a final decision was that,
2 weeks ago,
the town was wrong, and he could have his liquor license back, and so that's where we are with that case.
Right,
But,
and I'm so pleased about that. You know, it was in the town of Fort Myers Beach, as you know. Then it went to the circuit court here, and Judge Laboda was the judge. She granted the city summary judgment on all 4 counts of the lawsuit, meaning the city wins, that's it. There's nothing else that can be said. Didn't even get to a trial. She granted a summary judgment. Now, here's what's interesting. Judge Laboda's uncle used to own that very property that Terry owns. Gee, it's a small town, right?
Yeah.
And she's not biased or anything. That'd be wrong, wouldn't it?
Interesting thought.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some problems, but you got to understand, you know, Lee County is Bubba and Billy Bob and Jimmy Frank. And if you haven't been here and you're not a 3rd generation Lee County lawyer, then you got no stroke. That's the way it is.
So another issue was there was some sort of product that was spilled out there. I don't know what it was, or the whole thing.
It was.
And that was the first time I saw you defending Terry on the YouTube, because the magistrate, everybody should watch the magistrate.
I didn't realize, by the way, that was on YouTube.
Oh,
when
yeah.
I was doing
and you need
that,
to stay, and I know the judge has told you this, the magistrate, but you need to stay by the microphone, Mike, because you're wandering around, and the sound system in City Hall sucks, but that's a whole different story. So you really ran circles around them because they weren't prepared, and you won that. You won that case because the only thing left on that is whether or not Terry needs to pay the bill for this cleaning company that cost an astronomical amount of money to clean up whatever was out there. So
what happened is, you know, everybody here on the beach has a water system. Obviously, we have to have water. Well, restaurants have grease. It comes out of their kitchen, right? So there's a part of the water system. The kitchen is a separate water system for the rest of the building in restaurants down here. And that has a grease trap. So as the water goes out, it's an elbow and it bubbles up, and this trap traps the grease and the water keeps going. Well, there was a problem with the grease trap, and some grease was spilled out. Well, it's, again, the economic critical zone. We got over there. We got somebody in immediately, Terry did, and got it all cleaned up. And they wanted to charge him a very ridiculous fine, and that's the case you saw me try. And he was found not liable because it was an accident, and he was charged with the cleanup. Now, that hearing is set, I think, in March, where we go in and the judge is going to determine whether he has to pay that cleanup bill or not.
Well, the town called in a cleaning company. That for some reason they said Terry didn't respond quick enough, and the town called in some third party that sucked it out. It was an amount that
it was a lot.
It's tens of thousands of dollars or something like that. And so you're disputing that, and we'll see how that one ends up, right?
Right, and that's just he was found not guilty and didn't have to pay the fine. Right. So I'm not saying, well, why should he have to pay the cleanup? And they're saying, well, you know, the town didn't cause this. The town shouldn't have to eat that bill. So we'll see. The reason I wanted to bring that up before a couple other questions I had for you, Mike, was because if people watch that, I think they will realize that you're guilty before you prove yourself innocent in that situation. And then this is nothing against the magistrate, but that whole situation is not fair to the resident in any way. that whole situation is set up to collect money.
That's right.
That's
That is
only
a
about
cash
money.
machine right there for the town.
That's right. And, Bob Herron, John Herron, rather, I know him. He's the city attorney. He practices over in Miami. It's interesting that they have somebody, and the magistrate comes from the East Coast as well. I think that's because nobody who lives here wants to do that unpopular job, right? Roger Herndon, the city manager, came in.
Ernstad.
Ernstad. I don't even know his name. Came in from a different place, brought his team with him. There's some interesting history behind Roger. But before we get on to that, let me finish what happened with Terry. So Judge Laboda grants all 4 judgments to the city. So they won. That's it. The case is over. We take it up on appeal. It's a bit of an arduous process, but we come down on appeal, and the court says, I'm reversing on points 1 and 4. So now we win those. Very often you don't win something on appeal. You get the right to come back and retry it. In this case, it was so obvious the law that the court reversed it and gave the trial judge, Judge Laboda, a remand saying this is the decision. And that's very unusual.
Right.
Left points 2 and 3 open. And so now the big fight is, well, can we even go forward with 2 and 3? And that's what we're doing now.
And judges do not like to be lose on appeal.
When I was a judge, I never had a problem with that. Lawyers would come to me and say, well, Judge, I got to appeal you on this, blah, blah, blah. Don't be mad at me. Listen, I'm not mad.
Okay.
The appellate court's going to either tell me I did it right, so I keep doing it that way, or they're going to tell me I did it wrong.
Gotcha.
In which case, they give me instructions on how to do it right.
And then you go forward with that.
But I was a judge that what a judge was what I did for a living. It wasn't who I was as a person. But many of these judges, being a judge is who they are. They can't separate that job from their own personal identity. And that's where we get into that. Those are judges that get mad. They got appeal.
So I really encourage people that live in this town that have to deal with code enforcement and things like that to watch some of the magistrate meetings. The next one is the 18th of March at 11 o'clock, and Terry will be there again. It seems like every 18th or whatever it is, he's there all the time, answering something else, which brings us up to the next case that you guys are going to be dealing with, and that is the chairs behind Terry's place, which, in a nutshell, folks, you have to have a vendor's license to rent chairs. Terry's not a vendor. He has property behind the restaurant. He's not renting the chairs. His argument was that restaurant participants or customers, you pay your parking. You're allowed to go out and sit in the chairs. It's my property. You have to the property line on the beach. That's your property. And so somehow the town says they think they have evidence that says that he's renting chairs. And we were having a discussion about it on the way over. I mean, who the hell wants to rent a chair and sit there by themselves if they're not having a drink in the restaurant? That logic didn't make any sense, but go ahead.
No. Well, you took my point. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense that someone would go over there, pay money to rent. Listen, if I'm renting a chair and I'm not, wanting to drink and eat, I'm going to rent a chair where it's, if I'm going to rent it where it's quiet and peaceful. Right. I'm not going to go to a restaurant bar and just rent a chair.
Right.
And just
sit there
and say, can I have, and bring my own water and tea in.
Right.
So back to the situation where you have to go in front of the magistrate. Again, it's set up where the word of the code enforcement officer that took a picture where he thinks there was an exchange of cash, which he doesn't know if it came from the parking attendant, is gold. That's if he testifies, that's gold. That wins. You lose.
Unfortunately, the way it's set up in all municipal courts. So first, let's have a legal understanding of what that is. Okay, so there's the federal constitution establishes our judiciary. The state constitution establishes our state judiciary, but it comes down to the county level. And so there is we call that a court of original jurisdiction because they get that jurisdiction from the Constitution. And we call that a court of record. So there is no court of record at the municipal level, at the city level. And that's why this person's a magistrate, not a judge. They're not authorized a judge. Okay, so a magistrate has very different powers than a judge, and the magistrate's powers are exceedingly limited. Okay, now, unfortunately, most municipal courts, it's run essentially by the city attorney who does everything and just kind of hands off to the judge, and the judge is almost just kind of a rubber stamper. If you go into the court here or any other municipality, you'll see that. I mean, John Herron kind of, ramrods things and shoves it down everybody's throat. I'm not saying anything bad about John. He's doing his job, but let's face it, John's job is to collect money for the city. That's his job.
Right. And we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars. It seems like the fines are racking up every single day. And that's what the folks have to face if they lose the cases, and not to mention attorney's fees. They have to pay that. Not everybody can afford an attorney when they're going through stuff like that. That's the thing that when you look at yesterday, we watched a local resident lose his freaking mind before you guys came on. He was so upset at the process that he was yelling at the magistrate,
and that doesn't ever end well.
It's almost like there's a purpose to make it confrontational. That's what it seems like. You're guilty until you can prove yourself innocent.
I've had to, and you've seen it on YouTube or whatever it's on, and I didn't realize that, by the way, until like yesterday, that people could go on and watch what I did. That's I came in the other day, and I didn't know there was a hearing. Notice wasn't given. And so Terry calls me and says, look, I got an emergency. You got to get that. I'm like, dude, I just got done in Lee County trying a case.
Yeah.
It's Thursday. I'm done. I'm going home. And he's like, look, you have to be here. So I threw on a shirt and tie, rushed down here. And the beach traffic was difficult. But I got to tell you, the magistrate and the city attorney, John Herron, were both very courteous.
Right. They cut you some slack yesterday.
They waited for me. They, very courteous. And so when I arrived, and you've seen my performance in court before, I can be a bit obnoxious. And so when I arrived, I was very humble. And I said, Your Honor, thank you for waiting for me and blah, blah, blah. And I looked at her and I said, well, Judge, I bet you didn't ever think you were going to see the day when I was humble, did you?
Yeah, she laughed.
Welcome, revision counselor. I like that judge. I think she's good. I think she's very smart. I think she's got good judicial temperament. And I think she's not intimidated or bullied by the process or by the city or by the city attorney. I think she does a good job. She makes independent decisions. I don't agree with everything she does, but you're never going to.
Right.
But all in all, I think she's probably the only one in that process that is fair.
So let's talk about fair. So there's a noise ordinance on Fort Myers Beach where the code enforcement officer has a meter where if somebody, I guess, I don't know if I believe this, but all the code problems are complaint driven down here. So they say,
right.
You file a complaint. So the guy comes out with his meter and he stands in front of Pete's Timeout to measure the sound.
Okay.
And then he writes them a violation.
If they're above X number of decibels.
Right. So how is that fair when this guy next door is playing music, this guy across the street's playing music, the people are driving by in their cars, there's people walking by speaking, there's dolphins flipping in the water.
Right.
How is that legal that they can actually do that by that meter?
Well, it is. First of all, that's the only way to measure sound, and they've been doing it that way in municipalities for years. I mean, Cape Coral is famous for doing that and writing tickets. Unfortunately, we don't always see an even-handed application of the law here in Fort Myers Beach. People have complained to me consistently, come to my office and said, they're singling me out. They're picking on me, and here's why. They don't like my business, or they want to take this business and do something else with the property, and they're trying to run me out of there. I have a lot of complaints about that.
Here or everywhere?
No, Fort Myers Beach. I don't have really any complaints about that from Estero or Naples or, it's here in Fort Myers Beach.
So the last part of what I want to get your opinion on is there's an open container law on the beach. You're not allowed to walk up and down Times Square with an open container. I don't know if everybody that comes down to visit knows that. It looks like perhaps if I had a beer, you could walk down because everything's kind of enclosed in the road. Yet somebody walks by with a beer and there's one picture taken, and then the code enforcement officer can say, hey, that came out of your place. I'm writing you a violation. How do you defend yourself from that?
Well, and the only way, the problem is I'm standing out in the street with a beer and I'm in front of whatever restaurant or whatever bar. That doesn't mean that's where I got the beer.
Right.
And that's the problem. So, you take a picture of me standing outside of a business with a beer and then you find the business. Well, guess what? They're not the only one that sells Bud Light or Michelob or whatever I have in my hand. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand how they can tie that back. And it was the same thing with Terry. We want to charge you this violation, and it's like an enormous amount of money because you were selling beach chairs. Well, on March 4th, they ordered him to stop. He did. They said on March 5th that one of the code enforcement officers saw money changing hands. And so in court, I was like, well, I see these pictures. You give me about 10 of them, and there's no picture of any money changing hands between two people. Well, I saw that. You were taking pictures and you saw it, but you couldn't get a picture of it? All right, let's talk about who those people were. He didn't know. So how does he know that it's even related to Terry? There could have been a drug deal going on out there, people switching money.
Right.
I don't know, but how can they say, therefore, we're going to hold you accountable?
Well, I'm just wondering how close, like you have to be pretty close or have like X-ray vision to see that. I mean, I was out there. I'm out there.
Right.
You have to be, or a long lens camera. Like, I guess for me, I was like, how did you see this? Where were you positioned? What's your vision?
And we went through all that. They were back to the north side of Terry's place, and they were taking pictures onto it. I don't know what kind of camera they were using, but the point is they didn't get any incriminating evidence. I mean, if you're going to charge my guy that kind of money, you better have some actual proof that what he did is wrong.
What do you think of the town manager down here?
Oh, Ricochet Roger. Roger's okay. He's got a history, which is interesting. I mean, Marco paid him almost $90,000 to leave them alone.
Yeah.
You can go. We'll pay you to leave. He's had some interesting issues over in the East Coast in Miami. How he ended up here, I don't know. Somebody thought it was a good idea to hire him. What's interesting is it seems like he's always trying to negotiate himself some sort of golden parachute, right? So as I understand it, and I haven't got in to see the records yet, but as I understand it, when the last mayor left before Ray took over, there was also a turnover of 2 board members, one who decided not to run and another one who ran and lost.
Right.
But as I understand it, the former mayor and the 2 council people did a deal where they put it in, and Roger gets, if he leaves, they have to pay him some significant sum of money. It's rumored between 70 and 90, which makes sense because he got 90 or almost from Marco Island. They gave him job security before they left, and they stuck the new council and the new mayor with somebody they may or may not have wanted. It was unfair. It was backdoor politics.
Yeah, it was the last meeting of the year. You're right about that. And it was supposed to be a job review, and it was a job raise. And even Anita raised the stink at the time. I remember watching that. But
she voted for it.
She did vote for it.
So how was she raising a stink? She voted for it, and without her vote, they wouldn't have the majority they needed.
Yeah. So do you think that the residents, should they think he's doing a good job for them, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I mean, I'm sure there are some things he's done good. I will tell you that I don't have any off the top of my mind to give you.
Is there anything that
but even a blind hog finds an acorn once in a while?
Wait a second. What did you say?
Oh, yeah.
What did you say about the turds yesterday during your
pole vaulting over mouse
you had us
turds.
both laughing on that one. That was funny. Where'd you come up with that one?
I had to listen a couple of times because the sound quality is rough down there. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's what you said.
It is exactly what I said. They were talking about these things that they were putting the cart before the horse, and it was little tiny things. Let's get to the real issue here.
Right.
Judge, we're pole vaulting over mouse turds. And I'll say things like, well, Judge, no matter how much lipstick you put on a pig, it's still a pig.
Do you say that?
I know, but I've heard that one before.
That was a good one.
Heard pole vaulting over mouse turds.
Do you
before.
say that in federal court too? In front
no.
of okay, that's right.
I wouldn't even say that in state court, I don't think.
Okay. You just say it for the magistrates.
Well, the thing is, it's more relaxed there.
Yeah,
and
for
one
sure.
of the things, I don't know if you've gone back and looked at the previous ones, but one of the things I said to the magistrate at one point, the city, I keep saying the state or the
Right.
government, but the city was trying to raise something, and I objected, saying it's not proper evidence, and here's why. And the judge said, well, you're right, but the rules of evidence here are relaxed. Relaxed? What does that mean?
That's
We either
right.
follow the rules or we don't.
That's right.
And I actually said to her, relax, Judge, what does that mean? Each one of the rules have sunglasses and flip-flops?
Yeah.
How do you relax a set of rules?
Right.
I mean,
No, when you're in
they
there,
either apply or they don't.
you're like you're in a court. That's what you're in there to do. You're in there like it's a courtroom.
Yeah.
So
And I expect the same professional level of courtroom from them that I'm giving them.
Yeah.
And they've stepped it up. I mean, the magistrate, like I said, she stepped up since I've been in there and kind of started enforcing rules.
So what free advice do you have for residents of Fort Myers Beach that have to go into that situation where it can be intimidating to somebody who's, they may be right, they may be wrong, but they don't know how intimidating it can be when the in front of a magistrate and an attorney and a group of code enforcement officers that are basically all on the same side except for the magistrate.
Right. And I would tell you that those people are there to take your money. That's what they want to do. That's their purpose. And if you go in there without a lawyer, I mean, I personally think you're going to get railroaded. Mm-hmm. And a lot of citizens have complained about that. They come to me and they say, I go in there without a lawyer. I don't even get to say anything. I just get railroaded until I have to pay. And that's a big problem. So I would tell you that you need a lawyer when you go in there. You don't know the process. You don't know the rules of evidence. You don't know what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. So you got to have a lawyer if it's big money. Now I understand if it's $500, you don't want to pay a lawyer more than the fine.
Right. Any other questions here, Mike?
No,
anything you want to
I
get out there or let people know in town about what to watch out for? Or
well, I just want to say that I think, the business owners of Fort Myers Beach need to form an association. And I'm not saying they need to oppose or overthrow the city government. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being fair and balanced. And right now, all the power is on the side of the city. And I think if the business owners formed a group and got together, that they could balance that. Again, not to attack the city or overthrow anybody or push somebody out of office, but just to have enough of a base that we have credibility. When an individual business owner goes in there, they just get hammered. And if the business owners got together, they'd be able to have a foundation and it would balance and things would become fair.
So an association
wait a minute. Could just it's because that's what I said to him. If somebody goes in there on their own, even if they're right with a good explanation, if they don't know the rules of engagement, it's not going to matter.
Correct.
So I think people should form a group, like an insurance group, put all your money together, and then whoever needs a lawyer, they call somebody and as an association.
Correct. And it comes out of the association, people pay dues, et cetera. Now, I want to be very clear. I'm not advocating a group be formed to harm anybody or to throw anybody out of office or take over the beach. I'm saying form a group, an association, a professional association that levels the playing field.
Where you help each other.
Yeah. And It levels the playing field against a government that has, in my opinion, maybe a little too much freedom and power.
Doesn't every government?
Well, this one seems to be a bit excessive, and I think the people need to put it in check. Again, not tearing up the city or forcing anybody, but they need to put that balance in check if we're going to have an effective, free-flowing economy. We want people like Terry Prasad to come down here. Terry's invested over $10 million in this island, on this island. We want people like him to come in and invest money because that builds the business, and those of us who are local benefit from that. We don't want a city council that says, we don't want your business. Stay off the island because Jimmy Joe and Billy Bob and my cousin Jimmy Frank owns that license.
To me, this government is so anti-business. I've never seen anything like it. The thing with the beer really bugged me because let's say the code enforcement officer sees the guy with the beer. Why not just go up to the beer guy and say, hey, did you know you're not allowed to take that out? And then it's over with.
Right.
And then nobody has a violation. Nobody has a warning. Nobody has a stick up their ass. Nobody's fighting one against the other. Instead, this is what they do. This is unfortunate. The way that they treat people with the sound violations. I'll give you another example.
I'm going to have to reel you in.
Oh, sorry. Jim Adderholt, who's a council member who went and met with some of the business owners about the sound. They had a band playing out there, and he walks out and he makes a left and he can't hear it anymore. And he tells out to the council, yet the meter says you're over 70 dBs, and so you need to have a violation. And what that is some previous council member, some previous mayor that they're all, it's little cliques sometimes, and they call each other and say, this guy's getting a little out of hand. You need to go down there and take care of him.
Right.
And that's bullshit. That whole thing is bullshit.
Hey.
I agree. And, the enforcement, whether you're talking about policing or city government, state government, any government, policing or enforcement of code and laws always works better when you approach it from the positive.
And in education.
Not you come down here and start hammering businesses, you're going to get a lot of blowback. You come down here and you go in and you see the manager and you say, or the owner, and you say, look, this is a problem. Work with me. I bet that owner will get it cleaned up quick. Right. So it's about working together. The city takes the approach of kind of jackbooted thugs. Right. We're going to come down here and we're going to take your head off if you don't comply. That's not a good approach. That's not a good approach. You're going to meet with opposition and you're going to meet with, people forming groups in this big war. We don't need to have a big war. We don't need to be upset with city council. City council doesn't need to be upset with these businesses. Come down here and work together. Right. Don't come down here with the attitude of, I'm going to take your head off.
Right.
That's not a good attitude.
And unfortunately, that's the way they feel sometimes. So
it seems I see that attitude. Now, there's a couple of code enforcement officers at Fort Myers Beach that I like and that I think are fair and reasonable people. We'll come down and talk to you and say, look, I'm going to give you X number of days to do this. If it's not done, it's the way it is. And I think that's fair and reasonable. And the business owner doesn't comply, then there should be consequences.
Right.
But you got to give them a chance to comply first.
Right. Yeah. You don't want people just going willy-nilly breaking the rules. You're right about that. I'm totally with you on that. But
there needs to be a friendship between the city council and the business community. And I see nothing but an antagonistic relationship at this point. And quite frankly, I don't mind telling you, I think that Ricochet Roger has a lot to do with that.
Yeah, he flows from the top for sure.
He kind of keeps things stirred up, and I guess it's in his best interest not to have the business community and the council have a good relationship, right? Kind of makes his job meaningless, doesn't it?
I hear you. Well, Mike, thanks so much for coming in. We appreciate you being on our piddly little podcast down here. I know it's not K-Rock or B109.
I love it. Yeah. I love it, and I'll come on anytime.
I'm going to start a little book of Mike-isms.
Sayings, yeah. Jumping over a mouse turd or something like that.
Pole vaulting over mouse turds.
And what was the
jackbooted thugs, dear. That's a military thing, right?
Well,
yeah, I mean, look, none of us as citizens, whether it's the state or whoever, any entity, city, local, county, we don't want our homes invaded, right? And we have constitutional protections to avoid that. Well, why are our businesses any different, right? You're going to come down here and bully people? Why don't you come down here and be nice and work with people? And I think, again, the new council and the new mayor, Ray, I think that's his focus. I think Ray's focus is let's rebuild this relationship that was destroyed by the last council. And so I think we're going to see positive things come. But I think we're also going to say ricochet on to take somebody else's money.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens with that. Where the K-Rock again is when, and B103 is when, so people can tune in.
K-Rock Tuesday afternoons, 3:35 to 4. Call in, ask your questions. It's kind of I don't know that it's serious because we joke a lot, but it's kind of the questions are serious.
And those guys have been around forever. They're super talented and super funny and
solid people.
Yeah.
All right, let them give B109. You get off track.
And then B103.9.
B103. Sorry.
B103.9. Big Mom and the Wild Bunch. On Thursday mornings from 8 to 9, it's the man panel. So women call in and ask us relationship questions. So they got a divorce lawyer, a urologist, a retired professional baseball player, and just a local coach. So we got a nice wide cross section of the community. And
who's the baseball player?
Mike Tucker.
Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah,
never.
And then where can people reach you?
Yeah.
If they find the need of your services.
I'm easy. The area code here is 239. And it's 239 Ask Mike. That's all you got to dial. And if it's outside of normal business hours, it doesn't matter.
Yes,
call me.
That's right.
You press 6 when you hear the menu. It comes to me, my cell phone. I answer it. I might be out in the Gulf of Mexico. I might be in Mexico. I might be in Greece with my father. I answer the phone wherever I am.
And he'll be appearing on YouTube March the 18th at City Hall. That's his latest YouTube appearance.
And I didn't even realize that I had a debut months ago.
Yeah, please stay close to the microphone so we can never miss jumping over the mouse turds again. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Mike Shinopoulos, everybody. A big hand for Mike Shinopoulos, a local attorney star and a super nice guy. And we appreciate him coming down. And Terry Prasad, we'll say goodbye to them. And get his card in case we need a divorce lawyer or something like that, for coming down and spending some time here at Pete's Timeout. And I want to tell you about a couple of things before Kim comes in and we wrap up the show. Oh, wow, it's 10:14 already. Folks, we had the team on from Don't Itch It last week. And as you know, the temperatures are going cold, they're going hot, they're going cold, back and forth. And you know what that means? The bugs are going to come out. And we want you to get rid of the bugs, the no-see-ums, the flies, the gnats, the gerbils, the iguanas. Don'tItchIt.com or islandoilsllc.com. All you need to do is get online now and place an order. Because, if you place an order today, they're going to be our sponsor forever because that means we can move product for them. And that's all we want to do for our local sponsors is move product. Don'tItchIt.com. islandoilsllc.com and get rid of the bugs. When you're sitting out with the fireplace going tonight, because it's a perfect night for the fireplace, and all of a sudden the bugs are flying up your nose or under your arms or wherever they're flying, you want to make sure that you have Don'tItchIt.com, islandoilsllc.com, and get rid of them. I hope you got a picture. Somebody get a picture together with this. You got to get a picture with Mike there before he leaves, because we need to put that up on our website there. Don'titchit.com, Island Oils LLC, and we appreciate everything those guys do for us. And I know it's getting old, everybody, but one more sponsor. We got to take care of everybody. And Fort Myers Tiki Tours, you see the pictures of the boats out there all over the place out in the back bay. And the weather is about to get really nice for a cool ride at FortMyersTikiTours.com. The phone number to call to make a reservation is 239-887-0042. 239-887-0042. They have private boat tours for up to 4 people for $119.99. Look at this. We're multitasking. Who knew we could do this? You bring your own booze, any drinks or food, and that is total for boat, everybody. That is not per person, that $119.99. And also they have 6 people for $179.99. No, there's sorry, I had your mic off.
Well, I just wanted to be clear that there's no mouse turds here I'm pole vaulting over.
Okay,
right? This
great.
is a nice,
Thank
clean
you.
restaurant.
Thanks for coming back for the picture
photo
there.
op.
Yeah. So I was reading your ad there, so I'm going to let you finish it up there. The Fort Myers Tiki Tours, folks. Go ahead, dear.
Well, people should get out there and get on those boats. You can get up to 6 people out there, bring your own stuff, have a good time. Everyone will take your picture because you will look like a star on this tiny little tiki boat. Well, it's not tiny, but this tiki boat puttering along. It goes at a nice, reasonable speed. You can have a good time.
Awesome.
You're not going to get your hair all messed up.
No hair is messed up. No hair is messed up. All right.
Did you
give out
say
the phone
Coast
number
Guard
and
everything?
I got
All
half
right.
of it through, so they got a double ad
239
today.
239-887-0042. They go out of Salty Sam's hour-and-a-half cruise.
Very
Day,
nice.
night.
Yeah. So before we wrap it up for today, I want to let everybody know that tomorrow, the Sanibel Sunday Show, we're going to have Dr. Scott Crater on. He is running for council, and he is the last person that will be interviewing for the council. Mike Miller is the only one that decided that he did not want to be part of our little cabal here. But everybody else, you can go to the website and click on elections and hear all their interviews or see all their interviews. And he's going to be on at 10 o'clock because we need to sleep in a little late on Sunday. And then at 10:30, we're going to hear about the Sanibel Shell Club. There's lots to do out in Sanibel when it comes to shells. So we're going to hear from Claire Beckman and Joyce Mathis from the Shell Club. There's a virtual shell show coming up in Sanibel. Virtual shell show. So that's going to be tomorrow. And next week, our special guest will be Councilman Jim Adderholt. He's going to be on at 9:30. And John Cassini from
Water.
Calusa Waterkeeper.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about water next week. You know, there was a lot of news about the red tide and the fishes and things washing up. So we're going to talk about the red tide next week. And
I know they started the releases again. And every time it rains in the middle of the night, I'm like, no.
By the way, those of you that are watching on Facebook and YouTube, our show is not sponsored by Bud Light, although that would be nice. But I know you see that in the background there. That's John's door. That's not our signage there. So, yeah.
We need that account.
No kidding. So what were we talking about before we wrapped it up?
The
I
water.
completely forgot. The water. Yeah. Okay. So I forgot what we were talking about. Oh, I know what I want to say. Jim Adderholt is behind this water campaign. He wants to get people involved in this water campaign to keep the money flowing so that we can stop off the Calusa-Hatcha water from flowing down toward us. But he's got this whole campaign that he's putting together that he wants people to write their congressmen and their senators.
And when he was on, like, one of the first times, he talked about that as an idea. And it's a great idea to get the people that come down here and visit, but live somewhere else to write their senators and congressmen so that it stays on the forefront. Because, you know, when it's bad, everybody's focused on it. But then when it, gets a little better, it falls into the background. And you need to keep the pressure on to keep the money getting appropriated to make the changes, the long-term changes that'll lead to the clean water all the time.
Very good, dear. Very nice. Well said. So Jim's going to be on next week at 9:30.
Wait a minute. You like sit there and hold your breath like I'm on this long tirade.
Not
Do
at
you
all.
know how many times I sit
Not at all.
quietly and let you go so far afield and I
my-
have to reel you back in?
My statements are succinct. They're tight. I practice them. My questions are tightly wound together and get them out fast.
You
And I
are
get-
not tightly wound.
You know, Mike was a great guest. I was kind of hoping he'd wear the suspenders like he did in court yesterday, but
well, he was on casual time.
he's a little more bombastic when he's out in court. Today he was kind of laid back, but no, he's
I think he was.
a
yeah.
defender of the common man. That's
Is
the way
that
I
it?
look at it. I
Okay.
had no idea, and I'm sorry to say this, that he spent time in Iraq
Oh,
and
yeah, I saw
Afghanistan. I had
that.
no idea. Wow.
You need to do more research.
I'm busy. I'm a busy person. I have lots of
He
things
was a
to do.
major.
Yeah. He was a major?
I think so.
I didn't
yeah.
know that. He sounds like, he started out from nothing and he's made, and it was a great story that he told about
Oh yeah.
the Beasleys and Brad Beasley.
Yeah.
It's a great thing that can happen if you're,
Yeah,
if
rags to riches kind of thing.
yeah, with the radio thing,
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, I think we're rambling on. It's 10:21 already,
I got
everybody, and she's got a date today. So we thank you guys for tuning in and for being part of our fabulous episode number 153. Next week will be what, dear? Yes, you're right, 154. So you all have a great week, and thank you so much for tuning in, and bye-bye.